welcome to All Steelers Talk, your home for everything Pittsburgh Steelers, presented by allsteelers.com.
Hello and welcome, Steelers Nation, to the episode we've been waiting for all season long. All season long. It shouldn't have happened, but it happened. And then it shouldn't have happened again, and it happened again. Everyone knows what I'm talking about. The Pittsburgh Steelers are in the NFL playoffs, squeaking their way in with every last grasp that they possibly can, last branch that they could hold on to. They did it all. It's a great day. It's a great Victory Monday. In Ray McLeod's words, there are no more Victory Mondays. This is just another day, another dollar, another game to be won. Donnie, how you feeling on Victory Monday here?
I owe everybody an apology. The Steelers specifically. Because in the offseason, I said this was not a playoff team. I torched this front office, this entire organization, for the moves that they had made. When they started 1-3, completely gave up on them. Did not think they were going to make the playoffs. Mid-season, hated it even more. Last 4 or 5 weeks, I said they probably wouldn't even win more than one game. But here we are. The Steelers over 8.5 ticket cashed. Love to see it. Pittsburgh
Beautiful.
Steelers are in the playoff. We get to see Big Ben versus Patrick Mahomes. Love to see it.
Beautiful.
And yeah, they definitely shut everybody up, all the haters up, including me. So I got to take ownership on that one.
Freddie, you did tell us. You've been saying it for weeks.
We get it,
We
Freddie.
appreciate it.
We get it. Yep.
You're right. It's I don't know. I've tried all day to explain this to myself, and this is all I've come up with. There's a part of me that doesn't want to be like, oh, the Steelers, they did it. But at the end of the day, the bottom line is the Pittsburgh Steelers did it. No matter what anybody has to say about anything, no matter how many times they shouldn't have done it or didn't do it in times where they should have done it, they did it. This is where they needed to be. Week 19, they knew that all season long. All we talked about is how this team is not built to win anything. This team is not going to go anywhere. Well, this is as far as you could go at this point in the NFL season. There are 18 teams that did not make the playoffs. The Pittsburgh Steelers made the playoffs. And that's, I don't know. It's unexplainable to a degree, because especially the way that it happened. I mean, I think that's where we have to start. Like, the Jacksonville Jaguars beat the Indianapolis Colts. Did you watch that game?
No, I didn't. I was watching the Steelers game, but I think probably in order to perfectly encapsulate the entire 12 hours as a Steelers fan.
Seems like a week and a
at
half.
the beginning. Yeah, the entire week and a half, the entire 10 days as a Steelers fan that you probably experienced. Probably need to, start a 3-3 game at halftime between the Steelers and the Ravens, right? Everybody's cheering for TJ Watt to get the sack record. He should get the sack record. I'm really hoping some of those stat adjustments come out and they actually end up awarding him the sack. So I'm curious. Did you think that was a sack? Because they ruled a snap fumble and then a rushing attempt, so they gave him tackle for loss when that was clearly a passing play.
Yeah, clearly a passing play. At no point does Tyler Huntley pick the ball up and try to run. He just tries to pick the ball up. That's a sack. It's a sack. A million times it's a sack. And then I guess this one can't be reverted, but Cam Hayward, I don't know how I feel about that penalty on the next one where him and TJ got in. I mean, at that point, it's not Cam's fault. He didn't lean in with his helmet. He just went to tackle the guy. Unfortunately, him and Tyler Huntley, when Tyler Huntley's leaning forward and Cam's standing up straight, they're about the same height. And head-to-head, it's obviously fumble. Do you think that I heard somewhere that it's going to take a week for them to review it and make a stat change? I don't know how long that usual process is.
I think they usually do by Thursday, I believe. So I think we should be hearing if they do somehow change. I don't think they will, but if they do somehow rectify it, maybe between now and Thursday at the max.
does it take anything away? If you're TJ Watt, not from us, we care less, but if you're TJ Watt and you're sitting home and Thursday comes and you get that thing, does it feel like any less special? Are you just because like if he got it in the game, he probably would have lost his mind. He thought he got it in the game, and he did lose.
Yeah. I don't think it makes anything less special because he knows he did it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's his name that's going to be number one in the record books. It's already number one. He's just sharing it with Michael Strahan. Funny enough, though, a lot of people were talking about how TJ was lucky to get that extra game in Week 18, but TJ Watt did not play a full season. Also, Michael Strahan, if I do remember correctly, was gifted that 20-second and a half sack by Brett Favre.
Yeah, easy. That was not even an attempt.
Meanwhile, you had 3 dudes pulling TJ Watt down by his jersey. The tight end chipping TJ every play he lined out and went out for a pass. Still couldn't block.
Tyler Huntley moving to the left every single snap. Every single. It was halftime, and all I kept talking about, I was like, I don't know if TJ is going to break this because they're not even giving him an opportunity, like at all. And he did what he needed to do. Like you said, he is number one. I do believe that Thursday comes, they're going to reward him a sack. I think that that's the only right thing to do. Did you see Ben's interviews where he petitioned the last 3 questions? I just think at some point the NFL has to do something right. They don't do many things right. They got to do something right. And TJ Watt, he doesn't do anything wrong. He's a guy that you should, kind of give him a little benefit of the doubt towards. That's how I feel about this. Didn't lock him up, defensive player of the year, even if they don't award him the other sack or whatever. If he's just tied with Strahan, is he still defensive player of the year?
Oh, yeah. Easy. I mean, really the only other guy that you'll see like cases for, maybe Micah. Obviously, Aaron Donald is going to see his name up there as well. Maybe Trayvon Diggs, but other than that, like I just think the level and body of work that TJ has put on the field consistently over and over again. I mean, remember, he got paid. He got paid this year. A lot of guys do not respond like the way he did after securing the bag. But it's TJ Watt. He's got one of the best motors in the league. He's one of the best defensive players in the league. And at the end of the day, I think there's really no other option that they have. I saw a funny conspiracy theory, though, that said that they're not going to award him the sack and let him get the sack record just so they don't have to give him the defensive player of the year. And so they leave out other options. But that might be a Yinzer theory, so I can't, say with validity, right?
I've been in so many conversations over the last couple of days with people who have used the phrase, well, you have to give it to TJ Watt at this point. Yeah. And I'm like, no. In a way of making up for not getting it, kind of feeling bad for him. And I'm like, at no point do you have to give him anything at all. Lots of players play their entire career without getting it, what they deserve, or, a piece of NFL history that maybe they believe or many others believe that they should get. TJ Watt has deserved Defensive Player of the Year. The only reason that people aren't talking about it is because they're not paying close enough attention, just like you said about the extra game. He played 15 games this season. He left 2 more before halftime. In my book, that's 14 games. That's 22 and a half sacks in 14 games. One time it was in the first quarter, I believe the 3rd drive of the game, TJ out. Twice a year, you're playing the Baltimore Ravens, which do everything in their power to get away from them. I mean, you could say what you want. But at the end of the day, you're not paying attention. Or they just don't feel that TJ is that special because they're just looking at stats. I think there's a lot of people, I see PFF try to argue it constantly. It's like, oh, TJ ranks here, here, and here. It's not as impressive as it looks. I'm like, go watch the film. And it is more impressive than it looks because that's who TJ Watt is. He's been a monster.
Yeah, I actually had a conversation with somebody over the weekend about how they were interested to see the time it takes from snap to get to the quarterback for TJ Watt because They were talking about how they feel like TJ doesn't exactly get there super quickly to the quarterback. And I'm just like, all right, well, you've clearly never watched TJ Watt play football because that dude
Yeah.
not only times snaps unbelievably time and time again, but just like the moves he puts on offensive tackles and tight ends, and sometimes offensive guards all at the same time to get to the quarterback too. And even if he didn't get there quickly, I mean, the sack is still a sack. He still gets a considerable amount of quarterback pressures. He's dropped in the coverage and somehow still manages to bat down like 2 or 3 passes every week. I feel like. I mean, the guy does it all. He goes above and beyond almost every season, but this year in particularly. I know the last couple of years we were really harping on him, excuse me, for not winning Defensive Player of the Year in 2019, not winning it in 2020, where he had pretty good cases to win it. But at the same time, you could probably understand why another guy got it over him. This year, though, I mean, he's clearly the front runner. All of the sports books have taken the Defensive Player of the Year odds off of their markets. I mean, what else is there to expect, right?
Got him at 810, 850.
Yep.
I got him at 850. Loved every second of it. I still credit the bartender that had that conversation with me, even though they had no idea what I was talking about. They've never watched a football game in their entire lives. But shout out them. You're 100% right. And I don't even think it's conversation. I think at this point, it's just us like arguing with nobody. You know what I mean? It's like we know that he should win it. We know that chances are he's going to win it. We're just kind of arguing with the slim majority that still is just like, well, and you're just like, well, nothing. We've argued all we could argue. We've said all we could say. Mike Tomlin didn't even have any. TJ Watt ties the sack record. And Mike Tomlin's like, yeah, what's left to be said about TJ Watt? And I'm like, he's 26 years old. That's crazy. We've just run out of ways to describe TJ Watt, to praise TJ Watt, because we just accept him.
So you got all that going on. Good.
Oh, yeah. Got all that going on. Let's answer Rocco's question here. Anthony McFarland not playing basically at all this season. I can touch on this a little bit. It was just an injury. It was an injury that occurred at the wrong time of the year, right before week 1. It was just like Zach Banner. Opportunity left him when opportunity was there to begin with. Nothing's guaranteed with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Kevin Dotson had to prove himself over Rashad Coward this summer, and you can say whatever you want about that, whether it was just a design from Tomlin to kind of motivate Dotson or not. You have to earn your stripes to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Anthony McFarland had those stripes. He was ready to prove those stripes. He got hurt. I think it took him a little bit to get back to 100%. At that time, the team was just like, we've already come up with something. I think moving forward, you'll see more of him, but this season he's a lost cause. Donnie, on top of TJ Watt winning Defensive Player of the Year, on top of the Pittsburgh Steelers barely escaping the Ravens, Chris Boswell, phenomenal, team MVP. If it was not TJ Watt, it was Chris Boswell. The Jacksonville Jaguars defeated the Indianapolis Colts in the most embarrassing way humanly possible. Carson Wentz said, guys, I'm going to make you a Super Bowl contender one week, and I'm going to lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars the next week after losing an already terrible game to the Las Vegas Raiders, who took our playoff spot. I don't think there's really a ton to say. I didn't watch the whole game. I just saw the highlights, kept up with it as much as I could. I do have to say thank you. I think all of us in Steelers Nation have to, take a moment and just say, Carson Wentz, man, we appreciate you. We appreciate Jonathan Taylor getting stuffed at the 1-yard line. We appreciate the Jacksonville Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence saying, hey, remember, I am a number 1 draft pick. I deserve to win some games. I can win some games. We'll start with the Indianapolis Colts. And also, shout out to the random fact that every single person on earth said was irrelevant coming into this game, and that's that the Jacksonville Jaguars have not lost to the Indianapolis Colts at home since 2014. And they said, what? You guys are just going to blow that off? Not happening. So shout out to Jacksonville. Thank you, Indianapolis. We appreciate both of you. I mean, do you have any thoughts on Carson Wentz? Do they keep Carson Wentz after that one? If it's reversed, you just get rid of it.
Yeah, you really got to feel like they're a playoff team, right? I mean, they're a playoff contender with their current roster that they have. The one thing that's got to change is the quarterback, right? I mean, Carson Wentz has, not been the same since, I feel like he suffered a handful of season-ending injuries, and he really hasn't been the same guy that won a Super Bowl with the Eagles, even though that was Nick Foles, basically doing his part there at the end for Philly. Back to that Jaguars-Colts game, man. I mean, because you have the Steelers in a dogfight with the Ravens, which, the Steelers need to win that game before anything else can even matter, right? So they're going back and forth on that. You have Latavius Murray just doing the damn thing, gushing the Steelers' run defense time after time. But then you're like scoreboard peaking a little bit. It's like, okay, Jacksonville, they're up by 3, they're up by 7. Okay, they're up by 10, they're up by 13. Okay, 16, 23. It's like, okay. You see that happening, and I don't know, like, if it's just like pressure, but like as somebody who can't control the outcome, just like seeing the Jaguars score, it's like, okay, well, like the Jaguars are beating the piss out of the Colts right now, so like the Steelers need to win this game, and that doesn't that add a little bit more like urgency to the matter, right? Like it makes the highs feel a little bit more high, makes the lows feel a little bit more low, right? But I mean, the 60-minute window that the NFL has created for that Week 18, basically do or die, win or go home slate. I know a lot of people were really skeptical about adding that last week of football, but no, I feel like the NFL rolling in their bank accounts right now for them adding that extra week of football, because that was the most dramatic week from start to finish that we have seen in a very long time.
It was disgusting. So there's a couple of things I want to talk about in the Steelers game, but I guess we'll touch on them first. Ray McLeod, okay? We have trashed Ray McLeod up, back, forwards, reverse, threw him in circles every single week. That dude did not come up once, but he came up twice. Huge. The biggest plays of his entire career, back to back. In the moments that literally kept the season alive. Ben Roethlisberger looked at Ray McLeod at 4th and 8, and said, "You're going to win us this ballgame." Boom. Beautiful. And you saw it right from the beginning. You saw that the Ravens were giving up the middle of the field there. That's an easy target for Ray, but it was not an easy catch. It was not an easy play. I don't know, dude. If I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, Ray McLeod's done enough for me to say everybody could just shut up, because this dude sucks from time to time, but he comes up big, and he's proven that. At this point, we got to stop talking.
Yeah, and a lot of people are going to be quick to point out, too, that Deontay Johnson had a crucial dropped pass that might have made the difference down the stretch as well. Chase Claypool didn't play horrendously. I feel like he had probably one of the better games in the second half of his season this year. But, I mean, team MVP, at least in the receiving court, it's got to be Ray. I feel like he's a little bit more electric coming out of the punt returns that he had as well, helping the Steelers get a little bit better field position. One thing I do want to touch on, though, Najee Harris with one arm.
Dude,
one arm.
That was people are going to overlook that, That's going to go down, and this game is going to be remembered by
he left the
crucial
game,
catches. Left the game for 3 quarters. Had no movement in his one arm at one point. Comes in, snags the ball with one hand, says, "I don't even need a right arm. I just got a left one. This is totally fine." He misses that. There's a defender right behind him. They don't pick up the first down. There a million things could have happened. He saved the game. That's a play that'll fade into nothing, There's a couple of those. Cam Sutton intercepting Tyler Huntley in the end zone saved the game for the Steelers. That will just drift into nothing. Minkah Fitzpatrick punching the ball out of Marquise Brown, the greatest play I've ever seen, or I wouldn't say ever, but this is the probably top 5 plays I've seen this season. The punch was beautifully executed. It was just small details, that just led the whole way. And afterwards, it was a win that you had to earn, and it felt so good to earn if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, you have Mike Tomlin dancing on Instagram Live. We'll address this too. Chase Claypool went on Instagram Live. Seemed like some people had an issue with it. Okay? Some people compared it to AB. There's no need for that. Okay? It was an environment where they were more ecstatic on a bigger high than they have been, some of these guys, in their entire life. Chase Claypool's never made the playoffs before, or he has made the playoffs, but he's never fought to make the playoffs like this. Last year it was given to him, and they were on a downward spiral. Now they're on a 2-game win streak. They just beat the Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens, barely squeaked their way into the playoffs. You want to celebrate on Instagram Live? You have a good time with that. It's not a terrible conversation with your coach after a terrible loss. Not even close to the same thing.
No, and I feel like the main difference was Antonio Brown did it without Tomlin knowing Mike Tomlin didn't like that. And that was never the big difference. Is Mike Tomlin was talking, addressing the team. And obviously, in that small window of time, whenever, a coach is doing that, you're not going to want to record what they're saying. Because, it's private. It's meant to be between coach to players. I feel like if we got insider access, to a lot of those post-game talks, coaches may or may not be, a little bit lower in regards to how they talk, because obviously you heard Mike Tomlin in the Antonio Brown video. He had not nice things to say about the New England Patriots, going to the following playoff game. But I mean, Mike Tomlin dancing and what was it, Marcus Allen's Instagram Live, and then you had the whole Chase Claypool thing. It's a night and day difference, and this is coming from a guy who has been very critical of Chase Claypool and his performance on the field and off of it as well. But there's absolutely no issue with what Chase or any of the other Steelers did. Yesterday celebrating the win, but they almost did not get to celebrate that win.
True.
A few hours later.
Sunday night felt like the absolutely longest night of our entire lives. I think every single person that will watch this will agree with it, that it just seemed to never end. I got home. My girlfriend was like, "Oh, you got to stay up and watch this game, correct?" And I was like, "Yeah, I hope it doesn't end too late." 1:00 in the morning, I texted her and I said, "Well, I'm wide awake. That was the craziest game of all time." Because the NFL said, let's add an extra game. That should be enough, right? Let's add one more week to the season. It'll make it dramatic. And it worked. They got drama. They got plenty of drama. Heading into Sunday night, they not only got more drama, but they had a situation where if the two teams tied, they both made the playoffs and the Pittsburgh Steelers got kicked out, which to them is like, okay, chances are that's not going to happen unless you're Chris Collinsworth, who reminds us every 11 seconds that it could happen. It did not leave his mouth once. And granted, he was right, but he just did not shut up about it. And I was just like, dude, I get it, man. I get it. Like it could tie. It's a 12-point difference. We're in the fourth quarter. Chances are they're not going to tie. Next thing you know, what seemed like infinity later, we're heading into overtime. And it's now a 29-29 game. 1 field goal. 2 field goals. A drive. Nope. Turnover. The Oakland Raiders marching down, 50-yard line, just out of range of field goal range. Looked like it was done. This was the end of it. 38 seconds left or something.
Oh,
and you're just like, come on, please. At this point, you're like feeling a little like your heart's racing. You're like, there's no possible chance that this could possibly happen. This is just not real life. Josh Jacobs. Go ahead.
Can we go back to the Raiders blowing a 15-point lead with 4 minutes left in that game?
That's
my wife walked into the bedroom thinking the game was done. And then the Chargers converted every fourth down known to man, whether it's 10 yards, 29 yards, however long they were. Justin Herbert found a way to hit open receivers time after time on
every fourth down,
do or die situations. Threw a touchdown pass on the 4th and goal, I believe.
Fourth and goal with 0 time left. Not 1 second, not 2 seconds, not a timeout. 0 seconds.
Their final play was not final play. Their final drive was a 19-play drive.
Yep.
19-play drive.
Yep.
So it's like, okay, you already know what's happening. If you're like a Steelers fan, your heart's like jumping out of your chest right now. Like you already said, Chris Collinsworth is reminding everybody and their mother every 5 seconds that this game could end at a time. Both the Chargers and the Raiders can go through in the playoffs. But I don't know if you saw, but like before the game, some people from the Raiders were like, "No, like we're not going to play for a tie. Like we're here to like play for the win." Because like let's not forget, like these are division rivals. I don't think
Yeah.
the Steelers or the Bengals would say, "Hey, how about we just play to tie each other?" No, you want to beat your division rival. You want to knock them out of the playoffs, and you want to get a better seeding in the playoffs as well for winning instead of tying. Then it goes into overtime, right? And then, like you already said, the Raiders march down the field to get that field goal. The Chargers march down the field, convert like 2 4th downs, get a field goal, and then the turnover happens, right? Who caused the turnover? Do you remember?
No,
it's all a
cornerback.
blur.
Some cornerback. I could care less about names. I didn't care who did what. I knew Jared Cook made a big pass. I knew Keenan Allen dropped one. Besides that, I didn't know what was happening except for the fact that this game was freaking tied.
So there's like, what, 4 minutes left maybe? The Raiders get the ball back.
Yep.
And then their clock's like coming down, and they get inside the 2-minute warning.
Yep.
And it's like, all right, well, right, like, what's going to happen here? And then Josh Jacobs has that run. And then it was like a 3rd down. And like the clock's ticking, and it's going to under a minute left. It's 3rd down. And I'm just like, oh my God. I'm like, oh my God, they're just going to run the clock out.
Yep.
And then Chargers head coach calls the timeout.
The analytics, man.
Timeout saves the Steelers' season. Because the Raiders after the game had said, had that timeout not been called, we're just going to settle for the time.
Don't forget Matt Filer also almost did it. Shout out Matt Filer.
Yeah, shout out Matt Filer, the dude in the cape we never knew about. Called a timeout, and then the Raiders are like, okay, well, they're going to do that. We're just going to hand the ball off to Josh Jacobs again, and then we're going to call a timeout ourselves with 2 seconds left and kick a field goal. And the Chargers basically screwed themselves out of a playoff spot.
Yep.
For whatever reason they decided to on the sidelines.
Zero reason. It was just zero reason. Did they think that? I think to some degree they thought like, oh, well, we'll have enough time left to get the ball back and score ourselves. And I don't think – I mean, it's got to be the analytics. He's a big analytics guy. Analytics makes zero sense to me. Point. It was sudden death. I know that. I don't think he understood that. I think he was still playing to win. And at that point, you should have just been playing to tie. That's all you should have been looking to do.
With the ball on your side of the field, absolutely. And I read somewhere that the Raiders had Josh Jacobs been like stopped on that like big run that he had to put the Raiders into field goal position, the Raiders just would have kneeled. But obviously, with the timeout and them getting like a different like defensive personnel sub package onto the field. I mean, obviously, you know how the game ended up going. But like, talk about the like wildest sequence of events that could possibly happen.
It was awful. It was awful. The NFL used every single second of the regular season, and every single one of us were watching. Every single one of us. The cash money that came in from that game was wild, and it sucked. Like by 12:30 at night, like you've already eaten way too much food. Mm-hmm. You've already drank like 40 waters or like 12 Diet Cokes, whatever you're sipping on. You're exhausted. You're like basically bundled up, but you can't. And then the worst part was afterwards, you're trying to lay down in bed and your mind's still going a million miles an hour because you just went through the most stressful day of your entire life. Yep. It was crazy. It was crazy. The NFL did it right. I mean, It was good for them. It was good for the Steelers. Worked out for the Steelers. It was an absolutely wild day. Here we are. It's over. Playoffs are started. 18 teams eliminated from contention. The Steelers are not one of them. There's only one question left to ask. Can they do it? Can they beat the Chiefs? Is there any possibility?
Yeah,
any possibility?
Of course, there's a possibility. And if you're going to catch the Chiefs on any year in the last 3 years, this is the year you want to catch them on. But I don't know, man. Like you're going into Arrowhead, and you know that stadium is going to be absolutely just fired up in like the rowdiest of ways. It's all going to depend on what team shows up. It really, really is. If they come out with the hey, we're just happy to be here, kind of feeling, which I don't think they will, but if they feel like they squeezed in, they're just like, oh man, like we're in the playoffs. Patty Mahomes is going to have something to say about that. Travis Kelce is going to have something to say about that. Tyreek Hill probably will as well. Frank Clark on the other side of the defense, Chris Jones, Tyrann Mathieu, all of those guys will have something to say about that. They're a very well coached team. Whenever you talk about most underrated coaches after you put Belichick on the pedestal, guys like Andy Reid and Mike Tomlin are grouped in together, I feel like, and as they should, because they're both two phenomenal coaches. I still like the Chiefs. But if you're asking me if I would be surprised if the Steelers won in Arrowhead, yeah, I absolutely would be.
What's the team? You said depends on what team shows up. Like,
yeah,
what's the team that could beat the Chiefs? What is that team?
The team that went into Buffalo week 1. The team that could absolutely run the football and contain a star quarterback by limiting what he can do and getting after him time after time. Because I will say this, Patrick Mahomes has regressed. I mean, he still has a top 5 quarterback rating in the National Football League, but I mean, he's regressed in that regard. I don't know if you watched the Chiefs game on Saturday, but he made a lot of very questionable throws. And, if the Steelers secondary can be somewhat opportunistic, I feel like Minka might grab one. I feel like Killer Witherspoon, if he plays, he might grab one as well. So like I said earlier, if you're going to catch the Chiefs on any season to play them for a winner-take-all, move on to the next round game, this is probably the team you want to catch. They're still a very good football team, but just something, sometimes they're a little off. They're not quite the Super Bowl team that they were 2 years ago.
Let me ask this before we head out here. Is the Jackson Mahomes curse real? And is it real enough to make that big of an impact this week? Well, I want to talk about this at full length on Thursday, but just like a quick.
Yeah.
Do you think it's real?
I am not a Jackson Mahomes fan personally.
No, nobody.
I'm a Patrick Mahomes fan.
Yeah.
I like Pat. Jackson is he's a person. He lives, he drinks water and stuff, so that's good for him. Is the curse real? I mean, wasn't he doing the TikToks? Wasn't he doing the TikToks and stuff whenever they won the Super Bowl?
Yeah. I maybe curse is the wrong word. The effect, because like this season, everybody seems, at least a lot of the people that I listen to, have all just been like, well, Patrick Mahomes is playing bad, maybe because his brother is taking up all this attention, causing all this drama. I mean, dude, if my brother was a hassle everywhere we went, it would be a stress on my life. It would definitely be a stress on my life.
Yeah, but I don't really think that impacts the play. I just think, like early in career for Pat Mahomes, I mean, he got away with a lot of stuff, kind of being the gunslinger quarterback that he is. Sometimes you win by it, sometimes you get burned by it. And I felt like this year it's starting to catch up with him a little bit. I don't think that's Jackson Mahomes' fault. Although, if I'm Patrick, I'm telling that dude to shut the you-know-what up every week. Every week it's something with him, dude. Every week.
I don't know what it could be this week, but the Steelers are hoping for something. We'll talk about that a lot more on Thursday.
Well, yeah, Donnie. Chase Claypool, Jackson Mahomes TikTok battle. I'm ready for
it. That would be so awesome. That would end Chase Claypool's career in Pittsburgh, but it would be so awesome. All right, Donnie, before we head out, we got big news for the fans. If you have not noticed in the last 34 minutes, our backdrop changed. Why? Because we are now sponsored by Manscaped, and we are so excited about it. Donnie got his package in the mail a couple days earlier than me. We are still collecting the things so that we could try the things, so that we could tell you how awesome these things are. But they gave us 20% off plus free shipping code. We have 1 month to use it. They said make the most out of it. We're trying to help every single one of you guys out. So please go on and use that. It benefits you guys. It benefits Manscaped. And it benefits us. We're mostly here for you guys. We promise there's a couple of things that come with this. Our success is your success. We have a Deontay Johnson jersey that we're giving it away. Once we hit 1,000 subscribers, after that, we'll do another giveaway. Then we'll do another giveaway. And then we'll do another giveaway. Because all we want to do is get back to you guys because we love all you guys. Donnie, how's the Manscaped working?
It's working good. I actually got to try the Weed Whacker. It is a nose and ear trimmer, which is funny because I was talking to my wife that I was looking into like buying one just because I'm old. I'm getting I'm almost 27 this year, so the gray hairs are starting to come in a little bit. So that's whenever you get old, the nose hairs start to pop out. Really like slim, sleek design. I still need to go get. I just brought the box with me. It's in the bathroom right now. But I'll just shoot off the back really quick. I mean, it's a high power motor, waterproof, so you can use it in the shower if you really want to. I feel like the best part was I could like stick it like not like all the way up my nose like a COVID test, not anything like that. But like I felt super safe just kind of like using the trimmer. Knowing that like it wouldn't like slash, like the inside of my nose, I wouldn't have to worry about any nosebleeds or stuff. And I've never used Manscaped before. So I'm really, really thankful they, sent us the products and everything else. But I did get to try the Weed Whacker, and 10 out of 10, man. Like, I never really knew how much hair was kind of, coming out of my nose. But after using this, I mean, yeah, it's phenomenal. I really can't say enough great things about it.
Bill, you're 100%
No, Bill,
right.
Not a commercial, bro. Not a commercial. I promise.
We're just letting you know that our success is growing, and that means we're trying to get back to you guys. So make sure you jump on that. It's not just for the Weed Whacker. It's for literally anything at their shop.
Yep.
20% off plus free shipping. Use the promo code All Steelers. We'll have a bunch more details and a bunch more giveaways and a bunch more promos with this. We're very excited about it. We just want to let you guys know a little sneak peek before we dive in here. So take full advantage of that. We appreciate every single one of you guys. The Steelers are playoff bound. This is another week of football, and that means it's a great one. We will be back on Thursday. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube at All Steelers Talk, and check out your favorite podcast hosts on Twitter at Noah Strack, at Donnie Droon. We'll see you Thursday.